Hey everybody, welcome to Money Mindset Chicas. I'm Sapna. This is my friend Geremy. We are both coaches and colleagues and friends. And we started Money Mindset Chicas because we really want women to discover their wealthy mindset. And so this is kind of how it came about. Geremy's the financial expert. She's the financial coach. I'm the mindset expert. So I'm the mindset coach. And coming together, our passion for helping women is really one of the many things that, is important to us. So thank you for joining in. Geremy, what are we talking about today?
Oh my goodness, Sapna. So I just finished doing a presentation for the Texas Veterans Commission, and it was a presentation specifically targeted towards women because, of course, whenever I have any option or leniency in what topic I can present, I'm always going to, it's going to be about money. We know that, first of all, but I'm going to target it towards women
Right.
because they're my favorite people.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I wanted to do was kind of take the takeaway key points from that workshop I did on retirement, specifically for women, and bring it to you all today to have a little conversation about this. So the topic I would say is 5 ways that women are disadvantaged when it
Mm.
comes to retirement compared to men.
5 ways that we are disadvantaged. I'm curious, as at the presentation, how did the presentation go? What was the ambiance?
Oh, well, first of all, it was on Zoom, so it was virtual. And
Yeah.
what's neat about that is that, their Texas Veteran Commission's reach is very wide. So
Mm.
many people from different states attended. But I had a lot of great feedback. I was given an hour and a half, so I used up every, second of
Right.
time to jam pack as much information as I could for those women because they're veterans. And by the way, if you didn't know this about me, I'm an Army veteran myself. So women are my passion. And then, even women veterans, even more, on
Yeah.
fire for them because they've done so much for our country as well. So it was really good. It was really good. Thank you for asking.
Yeah. So it's 5 ways women are disadvantaged when it comes to retirement. I mean, I wonder what even the percentages of women that are even thinking about retirement.
Oh my goodness, I'm not. So the facts are kind of dismal, and that's the reason why we need to talk about this, and we're bringing it to the show today because actually the Social Security Administration says that nearly half of women don't even save for retirement.
Wow.
Let that sink in because I'm sure those half of those, the 50% of women, it's nearly, so it's like 46%. But I know that they're thinking they're going to get older one day and not be able to work. But let's just say, I don't know. I don't know what to say except for I know that women that I've worked with will tell me things like, "Well, I don't have to save for retirement because my husband does that." And
Yes, 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 yes. And yet we are not, you know, I understand that in many couples it tends to be, if we are looking at a heterosexual couple, the men are the ones and we're kind of pushing the finances to them because ideally, I think we're as women, stereotypically speaking, we're not taught how to manage our money and to feel comfortable with asking questions and challenging some of the questions of why they're giving us this certain rate or how to research. I mean, this is something you teach day in, day out. So I can see why that reliance on the other person is easier because it takes the pressure off us.
right. And you're exactly right. This is based off of this, the typical heterosexual, kind of couple, but That's what many of the women that I've worked with, they've just specifically said those are the reasons why they're not saving for retirement. Oh, I don't save for retirement because my husband does that. He's taking care of that, as in like for both of them. And unfortunately, though, we also know the or excuse me, the divorce statistics as well. But and no married woman wants to think that she won't be married one day, you know, but it happens all too often. And I've seen that plan, the specific mindset, right? It's a certain mindset of women that think, oh, my husband will handle everything, I'm good, I'm taken care of. I've seen that go badly for those women as
Yeah.
well. So,
Imagine.
anyway, so those are
So
those
yeah,
are some of the
let's
stats
jump
we're going to jump
in.
into today.
Yeah, because it's obviously a topic that, easily could go for an hour, but we're going to try and stick to half an hour. So what are ways that we need to be conscious of that, we are disadvantaged as women?
Okay, great. So, as mentioned, I have 5 for you. So, the first one we're going to start with is we women live longer than men. And so you might be wondering, well, how long? So, according to the Social Security Administration, women will live 3 years longer than men. So you're just like, yeah, I can see it in your expression, and I totally.
I was gonna guess about 10, actually. 5 to
Yeah,
10.
I was guessing about 5.
Yeah.
For some reason, at some point, I was always thinking it was 5, but I recently did more research, and that's what Social Security says. So,
Okay.
can you permit me just 1 second?
Oh,
I
sure,
had
sure.
something paused and it came back on. Hold on.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so, but we think about, okay, 3 years, it's not very long. However,
Right.
let's think it through, okay? Let's bring this to life, this fact.
Mhm.
So, Sapna, have you ever been between jobs?
Yes.
And has let's just say, how long were you between jobs? Like, just give
Probably
some
like
example.
3 months or so,
Okay,
and
3
even longer in other times. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go with the 3 months that you were at work.
Yeah.
Um, when you weren't earning a paycheck for those 3 months, did it end up feeling to you like it was 3 months? Just 3 months? Or did it feel like it was a
A lot longer.
lot longer?
It felt a
Okay,
lot longer.
okay.
Yeah.
So that's what I was suspecting. So when we think about women will typically live 3 years longer than men, we can also then assume that those are years that you're not going to be with a spouse if you were married.
Yeah.
And so you would outlive, your husband, right? In other words. So those 3 years could be very long, even though it doesn't sound like very long right now while you're young and healthy and everything's great.
Going.
And so I think that a lot of people, because of COVID, especially recently, can
Mhm.
really relate to that because a lot of us were in between jobs with the COVID and everything, and even 3 weeks without a paycheck, especially those who are not earning a whole lot of money. That 3 weeks could have felt like eternity, with having the expenses and the bills still keep rolling in.
Oh,
So
yeah.
when we think 3 years, it actually is it's going to feel longer than it is. So let's just put that into perspective and not brush off that fact and really take that serious, right? Because um, that's something for us to consider. So let me give you another statistic. On average, a 65-year-old woman today,
Mhm.
she will live to the age of 86, roughly.
Wow.
So
Like 20 plus 20, 21 years, if
20,
not more. I mean, I have neighbors that are in early 90s and they're doing great. They look great. They look very healthy. So
right.
90s not what it used to be.
90 is probably the new 80 or something, but yeah, 21 years average in
A
retirement.
long time.
That's a long time. And Also, let's keep in mind that's a 65-year-old woman today. If you're younger than that, then you can only expect, because of breakthroughs in science and medicine, that that will be longer for us. So that's just another fact. So that's why it makes it more important for women to build a sufficient retirement nest egg for yourself,
Right.
not giving the responsibility solely to the husband or to any partner, or for that matter, thinking that my kids will take care of me.
Yeah, I would not do that. Or even, sort of assuming the children or the family or the government. Like I would not be relying on those things. Like if it ends up being that you qualify for certain benefits, fantastic if they're available at that time. But as we've seen, anything can happen. Anything can happen. And so we need to take steps. And from a mindset point of view, when you start taking ownership of this, you actually start feeling a lot stronger. You're like, oh, okay, I'm taking steps to put myself in the best advantageous place as possible. So yeah, keep going, Geremy. So what do we got? So
No, I love that you said that. Thank you for saying that. I love that you said that, but you're right. And so, back to talking about, okay, so we did step one. Step two is that we work fewer years. And think about it. It's not hard to figure out that we're the nurturers of the family. We are the caretakers. So typically, we're the ones who step out of the workforce to step into that role when we have children, when we have aging parents to care for them. So what happens is when we work fewer years, that means that you're also, I would say, have fewer years to be contributing into a workplace plan, a workplace retirement plan.
like a 401k.
Like a 401k, like a 457 or a 403b.
Mm-hmm.
And so, or even a pension, because some employers, very few nowadays, but there are some government, state, local agencies,
That provide that.
agencies where you can work and also teachers work and earn retirement by your years of service.
True.
But if you're not in the workforce as many years as men, for the reasons we mentioned, then you don't have that opportunity to be contributing to these workplace plans as readily either. So
this is a question, Geremy. So does how much you earn, does that affect the pension?
it does, because it's usually a percentage of your salary and based on years of service and things like that.
Wow. So given the fact that most women are earning, 30 to 35%, if not more, if not less, even more, like 40% less than most, men in the same comparable position, that's really worrisome. So already we're, losing, a tremendous amount of money, in terms of finances or making the salaries or negotiating. But the pension is, let's say the pension or our contributions to the 401k, if we're earning less, then our contributions to the 401k is going to be less too.
Yeah, exactly right. And so you're getting ahead of me.
Oh, I didn't realize that was one of the points. I was just sort of thinking, I was just thinking about that. I just didn't realize that that is the case with pensions. And so yeah, I'll let you teach us.
Oh my goodness, see? And that's exactly right. You're really onto something. So unfortunately, when I was telling you about nearly half of women don't even save for retirement, that's why I have this mission. Retirement, out of all the financial topics that I teach and help clients with, retirement really is my passion, because older women are more likely to live in poverty. And it's just sad because women age 65 or older, I'm looking at a statistic right here from
Mm-hmm.
Social Security, are about 43% more likely than men to live on an income below the poverty level.
Mm-hmm.
And about 65% of the elderly that are poor, considered poor,
Right.
are women.
Wow.
So, and like I
So
was
like
saying,
you
half of
said,
them, half of women don't save. So that's not shocking then when we know the statistics that they're living in poverty.
right.
Um, yeah, so
Yeah.
back to
It's interesting. I mean, I'm thinking from, the mindset point of view, uh, a lot of things, if it doesn't have an immediate consequence, we tend to push it away.
yeah, yeah,
I mean, it happens in my business coaching all the time, or people, or, in life coaching. It's like, well, it's not something I need to think about now. And it's like, yes, but notice that you are procrastinating on making a decision here because you are not comfortable with dealing with the feelings around it. Kind of like the episode we had done around the beneficiaries, noting those down, right? It's
right.
the mindset thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
It always comes back to the
The
mind.
the money and the mindset, the money and the mindset. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's really intriguing. All right, what's next, Jeremy?
So so we were just covering we worked for years, but
Yeah.
as you had said, you kind of already said that I'm going to go into number 3, but because of that, we have lower lifetime earnings,
Mm-hmm.
which impacts our Social Security benefit, our pensions, and our savings rate. Our ability to save and how much we can save is really all based on how many years are we working. Okay, so let's go ahead to 4 because we've already covered that really. And you did touch on this one as well, Sapna.
Oh,
So it's like, how'd she know? Well, it
I
all
did.
ties in.
I'm just kind of putting points to points together in my brain as it's coming up. I'm like, oh, this is fascinating. I had actually not thought about this topic at all.
Okay, so um, number 4, the fourth way that women are disadvantaged when it comes to retirement compared to men is the gender wage gap. And you kind of touched on it already.
Yeah.
So let me give you some facts and figures from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They keep data, of course, on all the different industries and occupations and careers and jobs out there.
Sure.
And they track how much are these different types of demographics earning in these different types of jobs and etc.
Mm-hmm.
And in 2020, right, because it does take them a while to collect data and churn it and give it to us.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
that was the latest that I could find, the most recent, I should say, even though we're in February 2023. But they found that women's annual earnings were 82.3% of a man's. So meaning out of a dollar, a woman is earning 82 cents basically of that dollar
Mm-hmm.
than a man in the same job doing the same exact thing.
Yeah. Oh, I would have guessed more. I would have said at least 30 to 35%.
I
But
would have too. I would
yeah,
have too.
I'm
But
surprised that it's only 20 some percent, I'm like, really? Not even 20%.
it could be. It could be because that's on average. That's as a whole. But
Yeah.
then when you factor in the gap, like for if you're a minority woman
Yes.
versus a white woman,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
women of color, then you factor those things in, that gap is more.
Oh, it definitely gets
It's
bigger.
more.
Yeah.
It's bigger. So
Yeah.
let me give you this one. Compared with white men with the same education,
Mm-hmm.
Black and Latina women with only a bachelor's degree have the largest gap at 65%. So when you were guessing, oh, you think that would be more like half, we're getting there. And
Yes.
Black women with
Please.
advanced degrees, get this, with advanced degrees, what does that mean? Meaning master's degrees
PhD.
or higher,
Okay.
earn 70% of what white men with advanced degrees earn.
Wow.
So educational attainment is not enough to close gender earnings gap. Doesn't mean you stop going to college, lady. You keep going to college if you're in college. But
Yeah.
what it's saying is, we're always thinking, oh, let me go to college and better myself, and I can make more money as much as our male counterpart. No, not all. That's not enough. But it's not. I don't want to say. I don't want to be negative Nancy, right? The
Mhm.
reason why we're talking about this stuff is to bring it to light and to say, okay, women, that just means that, yes, like Jeremy's saying, we are more disadvantaged than men. And we haven't even gotten to the last one,
Mhm.
the last point. But so far you're seeing, wow, the cards are stacked against women. So it's
Mhm.
not for us to sit in the corner and be sad. It's for us to kind of get enraged, kind of get a little pissed off about it,
Mhm.
and use that fuel to do something about it, to
Correct.
take action, to start saving younger. There is no such thing as being too young to save. You can have your first job right out of high school
Mhm.
at 18 years old and be saving for your retirement. In fact, if you do that, you're going to have to put away a lot less than somebody else who's older than you. And you might even outsave them without even putting as much money as the next person had to save.
Oh yeah, the
Because of
beauty
the
of
power of
compound.
compounding.
Oh yeah, love that compound principle. And
Yeah,
it doesn't even have to be a lot, actually.
it doesn't. Small
Just
and
a little bit.
consistency, small amounts and
Consistency.
consistency is
Yeah.
is going to win the race.
Yeah. Wow.
There you go.
Yeah, those are some interesting there's some interesting facts there, and as far as mindset goes, yeah, a little bit of anger in this situation, use that and channel that into action,
Yes.
because otherwise it is too easy for us to sort of go, well, forget it. I mean, everything, the fact that there's gender wage gap, and then there's this, and then the fact that there's divorces, and like, don't let that actually be an excuse to not do something about it. You've got to move forward and actually think about what are things that I can start doing right now, because I wouldn't want to be finding this out when I'm 70.
Right.
So, all right, Jeremy, what's the last point? Bring it home.
Okay. All right. Last point is women are less informed about finances in general,
Yeah.
and that includes retirement. So why would that be the case? Does that mean like women just don't care, so they don't want to inform themselves? No, that's not it. That's not it at all. We're not lazy. It's not that we don't care. We're less informed for a couple of reasons. One of them being if a lot of this retirement plans, workplace retirement plans, they're explained to you by your employer at your workplace because they're offered there. So they bring in speakers, they tell you about your benefits and try to explain them to you. Sometimes they'll even have a benefit where you can call 1-800 number and speak to a financial person about your retirement, right? Your benefits offered at the workplace. So if you're not in the workplace as many years, you're not going to have access to that kind of information,
Oh,
right?
wow.
Think about it. It's just like a snowball effect. That just affects everything. So that's number one. And number two, and I won't make it this too long, and I won't get on my soapbox, I promise, because I do that on the topic sometimes, but it's that women, we are not being targeted by those people with the financial knowledge, like financial advisors. Well, why not, Jeremy? Why aren't they targeting us and wanting to give us information and educate us? Well, women, ladies, unfortunately, I hate to say it, but financial professionals, they're going to be targeting those with large portfolios.
Yep.
A lot more money to make there.
Right.
Women, you don't even work as many years typically on average than men. So your lifetime earnings are not as much as men. You don't have as much of a portfolio than men typically.
Well, I mean,
I'm going to target you. I'm going to target.
yeah.
See what I mean?
Yeah. I do see that there is a system in place, and we're gonna have to get we're gonna have to go out and get what we need. And in fact, not only about finding out options for our retirement, but people will be like, well, I don't make that much. How am I going to put it away for retirement? Then again, my mindset coach hat says, okay, well, let's also talk about where you might be spending money that you could be taking from that and then splitting that up and putting it towards a retirement. So it's a matter of priorities, because we always get our musts. We get our priorities. And I know that this priority is way longer. And maybe it's like, oh, what if I don't even make it to 70 or 65 or whatever? But you'll be so glad you did if you've put away, $100, $200, $300, whatever you can, prioritize. I feel like there's financial priorities here. Right. And so this is obviously a much bigger topic and maybe a mindset one that we'll do together. But I think that's also really important. It's not just about not getting the information, even if it is not being given to us. So, taking seat, getting involved in those conversations. If you happen to be married, like, sit down and ask those questions. Go to your financial institutions together. There's a lot that we could be doing to get ourselves informed, even though we're not necessarily being targeted.
That's right. And so what does it come down to, right? It does come down to mindset, because what the heck? Who cares if they're not targeting us? Financial, right. I can go to the local library and I can pick up some financial magazines. I can spend some time, but if you're not into going to the library, that's fine. The library, if you're signed up, has a lot of resources that you can access through your computer online. And you can, audiobooks. There's so many free resources available. It's not even funny, but it's the mindset to think about, I need to be seeking this information.
Right.
That's the mindset, versus let me just wait for somebody to, sit me down and make me listen to this. No, it's that mindset of, oh yeah, this is serious. Geremy dropped some seriously sad facts, but I'm not going to let that get me down. I'm going to use that to take action. And now the next time, I'm going through the TV channels and I see something about finances or money, I'm going to stop and I'm going to listen and I'm going to try to pay attention, understand it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to maybe subscribe to some blogs online or whatever, watch some videos, some YouTube videos to figure out my workplace 401k. How does that work?
I agree with you. I think there has to be, just like we may take interest in certain topics, right, that may be more conditioned towards females and women, right? If we can take if we can take the advantage and go out there and learn about those things, right, because we're wanting to get better at that task, then we can do the same thing with money. But I think somehow in the conditioning, and I notice this a lot in our mindset, I'm not good with math, I'm not good with numbers, I'm not this, I'm not that. So what that does is actually keep us away. I'm not good at Excel sheets, or that kind of thing. And then I can see how the 5 disadvantages that you mentioned really are kind of pointing the flashlight at not only the system, but also our own conditioning and mental conditioning. So it's sort of, it's really both things. Yes. We're going to have to take reins of this. Like, this is, even if it's not being, even if we're not given the chair at the board table, it's time to go grab one and sit down and listen, because we can't do this. We can't end up in the situations that the dire straits of being, under poverty line and what have you, and just because of these advantages which you've actually brought to light, which, many of them I didn't even really recognize. So thank you so much for doing that, Geremy.
You're
Any
welcome.
closing thoughts?
So I do have a closing thought. Okay, so this whole conversation was meant to just help light that fire under your butt to start taking some action. This is where we are.
Mhm.
The gender wage gap, I'm such an optimist, and I used to think is that real? Nah, that's not even real.
Mhm.
But looking at these numbers, and I have to say that's one thing that has improved, because in the 70s it was a more closer to about 54 cents to the dollar that women would earn for the same job, and everything as men. So we have come a ways, but we still have more
That's
to
so
go.
long to go.
So we have to prioritize ourselves, and we are the caregivers, the nurturers, yes, but also remember that you are the only one that is going to be responsible for you at the end of the day. We can hope and pray that our spouse and our children will, and our family will pitch in, and Social Security, but guess what? Social Security also, we don't know if that will be available, and if it is, Social Security was never, ever, ever designed to provide you more than about 30% of your
Right,
income in
right.
retirement. So the other 70% is on you.
And there's inflation.
There's inflation, but we want to get the school loans for our kids. We want to take away their burden, but really, you've probably heard this said before, but it's so true. Your children can take on school loans and pay for them and be fine. They'll survive. They're going to hate it. Everybody hates to have student loans, but there's no such thing as a retirement loan. When you're in retirement, you can just, you can't say, well, I'll just get through retirement by taking on some retirement loans. That's not the case. But with school, you can do that. College, and guess what? Your kids will be in their mid-20s, maybe in their 30s, by the time they're done with their college degrees, and if they went for the whole, doctorate degree, they're going to be young, and they can earn, and they can pay that off. But what about you?
Right.
You have to look for yourself, after yourself first. And the place I would say to start really is to, if you're currently working, take advantage of any of those free services where you can talk to a financial person about those workplace plans that are offered, and take advantage of those workplace plans that you have available if you are working full time. If you're not, you're working part-time, you might not have those benefits, but I give you a second thing that you can start. I'll provide the resource and the link with this video.
Okay.
But you can create your own online Social Security account, so you can see what credits you have built up and earned to receive your Social Security benefit, and the Social Security projects out based on your earnings up to date what they estimate your benefit to be. So that's a start. You'll be able to see, okay, based on my work record, this is approximately how much I will be getting from Social Security per month. And then that's where you have to work backwards. Now you have to fill in that gap with your personal savings, your workplace plans, to come up with the rest to be able to, survive in retirement.
Right.
Saving for retirement is not okay.
That's not an option.
That's not an option.
That's just not an option. Got it. Yeah, I mean, definitely those are very helpful tips. And I think, for some of us, it might just be the wake-up call we need to get very serious. And the great thing is that, you are a huge book of knowledge around these and around this topic, and very, very trustworthy. And so, I definitely place my trust in your advice as well, as I am, creating my retirement plan and continuing to invest in that. So I think you've been a huge help in understanding, the laws, which there are so many, and there's so many loopholes, and there's so many advantages that, it helps. It really helps to hire someone who has the knowledge, because that's what they do day in, day out. They breathe and sleep this stuff. They actually like this stuff. So I encourage you all to reach out to Geremy for questions and for her help. She's very good at what she does. Well, thank you, Geremy. Thank you all for joining in, and we'll be back in a couple of weeks with a new topic of financial topics that are helpful for women. And this is something that it's a passion project for both Geremy and myself, and we really do believe that women need to discover their wealthy mindset. And so this is Money Mindset Chicas signing off, wishing you all the best. Thanks, Geremy.
All right, thank you. Bye.
Bye.